Hey folks, it's Ridgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 19 here in Boulder Canyon. I am just going to do this final pass down through here, or it's not a final pass, it's a final couple of passes actually. But I'll let this one run through, and then we're going to go and tidy up that little bit over there, and then all we've got left is a bit over there. So I'm kind of hoping that we can like do the whole thing together and get through it reasonably quickly. So I'm just going to stop the hired help there a second, and I'm going to go over this side. I'm going to get that one little bit there like this. Make sure that we've got all of that neat and tidy there. There is another little tiny bit that I want to get right there, and then the rest of this is actually looking pretty good. I'm not going to worry about the bits further down the hill that the turner has already gone over, but I kind of want to get that bit there. Kind of want to get that bit there. Just because I've gone... I shouldn't really have bothered with that, because there's a whole load of other bits down there that I really need to go back now and get, but the turner's already gone over them, so I'm not going to. I'm going to leave them. But yeah, that's we definitely could have done a little bit better down on that bit. That's the only bit of the field that we haven't done properly, and that's because of where the trees end up. You get right. If I go like that and just press the hired help, where the trees are on the other side of the road, you do get a couple little bits just left behind down there on the hill. So we really need to do 4 passes on the side of the hill over there in order to fully cover everything. But it's only that one little bit. The rest of it is absolutely fine. We don't have any problems with it. So yeah, maybe we need to, but I don't think it's something that we're going to worry about too much. I'm going to stop there a minute. Like that. There is a tiny patch of grass stuck up down there, which I'm also going to leave. It says as he turns around and actually sets off to go and cut it, because it does really bug me. It is painful for me leaving these bits. I know there's other bits that are further over in the field that we also need to go and get and finish off, but I haven't gone and done them because time. I want to keep this moving along, and so I'm trying to push past this compulsive desire to make sure that I get every single little part of it so that I can keep everything moving, so that we can actually get things done. Because if I'm constantly going along and just tidying up those odd little tiny bits everywhere, then we don't end up finishing everything. We don't end up getting everything done that I want to get done. I'm just tidying this along here, and I'm going to go along a little bit further there and get that bit like that. There we go. Then we can come back here. How have I only done... Oh, I know why I did only 2 passes on here. It's because I was kind of like straightening it out a little bit. And that did actually work. That paid off. See, we've got one straight line all the way along here that we need to do. And then this bit is finished. This bit all the way out here is finished. There's just the short run that we've got down the other side. Now, I went and switched that one off for some strange reason, and then left the back mower down on the ground, which again is probably not the best way to do this. You can get away with doing that if you're cutting silage. Doesn't matter so much, but if you're cutting hay, you don't really want to be double cutting very much, because you get left with little short bits, and then the bales aren't as good. But if you're doing silage, especially if you're doing silage and you're chopping it and chucking it into trailers, it doesn't matter in the slightest. So long as you're left with your rows, it doesn't make any difference. You can double cut as much as you like. But when you're cutting hay, you do want to try to avoid doing any double cutting if you can. It definitely does make a better end product. So next on our list, we want to grab this bad boy down here. And for once, we're actually leaving the front loader on. We normally go and take the front loader off, but you can do it with the front loader on. What I am gonna do though is I'm gonna do it like that, so that we're not constantly trying to fill the bucket with grain from the combine. Look, see, it's not trying to do it now, so I got the bucket upside down. So you start right there. We dump a little bit into the trailer, and then we'll continue onwards. I'm going to let that one just go around the corner. This is quite a big trailer. He should, with 82% left in combine now, he should be alright to do that. Wondering if maybe we should take the bucket off. Like, just not have the bucket on here. Maybe that would be better. I can just put it down like that. Yeah, you know what? While the combine goes and does his little bit of turning round, I'm going to bring this one down here. We're empty on the trailer, so it's not too much of an issue. And I'm just going to unhitch the bucket off of the grab here. We're not going to unhitch anything. I'm going to leave the actual loader on there so that we've got a bit of front weight. But I am just going to take the bucket off a second. So I'll bring that one there and I'll leave that behind. And then we can just have the front loader arm. Leave that one on. Now, the one downside to having a front loader arm on the front of a tractor like that is if you go a little bit too fast and you go over a bump, the loader tends to bounce up and down a bit and make a bit of a bang and a wallop, and it can go and damage it. Now, we got Helper A has completed their task. I'm pretty much guarantee that's the person on the mower has decided that they've had enough and they don't like employment anymore, so they've decided to go home. We're going to allow them to go home. That's fine. We're not going to discriminate against them because they want to go home. We're going to allow them to fulfill their dream, and we're going to send them home. So we're going to need to find another employee, and we're going to need to get them actually doing employment work, which is doing the mowing. We need that mowing done. I'm going to empty out the combine first, though. Put a little bit of weight all the way down through the trailer like that. Although you don't need to load it like that when you've got these. Well, I don't think you do. Actually, I don't know. I've never really used a I've never used a turntable trailer. I think I've hitched one onto a tractor like once in my entire life. In all of my short, fat, scruffy existence, that's all I've done. It's like maybe once with a turntable trailer on a tractor. I have no experience with that particular task. So what we'll do with this one, just to make sure that the next hired help doesn't get too confused, because they seem to be a bunch of simpletons, is we will bring it all up. We'll bring it up here. We'll start up on this side right here, and we'll let him go from there. So if I just press H like that, he'll go forward a little bit, and then he'll drop the back mower down, and he's already going the wrong direction up here, so I've got to correct that for him, because he's not going to be able to do that himself, because he hasn't got the brains to think through it. I'm going to bring it all the way up there, actually. Go like that. So he'll go up, he'll set the back mower down, then he's going to go all the way up, and then he'll set the front mower down for that bit over there. Okay, I didn't actually think it was that far out, to be honest, but it is. Well, we'll let it go and finish up, and then there's a little bit here that it can just kind of finish off afterwards as well. You'll be fine. So what we want to do next, really, is in order to be able to start doing the outside rounds with the rake, we're going to need to do the outside rounds with the hay turner as well. And I've not done very much in the way of outside rounds. So we'll let this one travel along here. I'm actually thinking it might be better to temporarily get the big tractor onto the turner and do the outside rounds with the big tractor, because this one struggles so much with going up and down the hills. So if we have the big tractor on it just to do the outside rounds, that'll solve that little problem. There won't be any kind of issue there with it then, and everything will be tickety-boo and wonderful. That might actually be the best option, I think. I mean, he can keep going for a minute. He can keep doing what he's doing. He's doing a wonderful job. We got no complaints so far. If I go, let's have a look at you. Rather than taking the mower, let's have this one. Where's the combine? Combine's okay. We'll chase on round. We'll empty out what we got in the combine, and then we'll take this tractor up the hill, and we'll take the hay turner off of the small tractor. We'll put the hay turner on this one. We'll do the outside rounds with this tractor. And then once we've done that, we can then do... We could actually probably run back down here and... actually, I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet. We will be able to put the little tractor going again with the hay turner. That's one important thing. So we'll put the little tractor going back with the hay turner once again. Whether I get it started immediately or I do the 2 outside rounds of the rake first, not quite sure. I'll probably do the outside rounds of the rake. Now, that one is unloaded there completely, so I'm going to bring this one along over here. I'm going to let the combine keep working around the outside edges of the field. This tool is not... Okay, I need to... Oops. Right, I don't want to be doing that. I want to do that, and I want to do that. So I need to switch tools, is what I wanted to do. So now I will go up the hill. I need to just go and check on you. I actually want to stop you at the end of the field. You know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stop you right here. This is where I'm going to stop you. So I'm going to just lower that one down, and I'm going to unhitch it in the unfolded position. I'm going to leave it there. This tractor is just going to drive forward like that, and it's going to stop there. Then I'm going to jump over to this tractor. We're going to go and get that hay turner on, and the first thing we're going to do is do a few times around the big stone up there. Let's not cut out across. I should put a wall along the bottom of the field there, just so that we have got a boundary on it. Like, this is where we go into the field, so this is where I should keep going into the field. And then we can go race. See, I can go up across here a lot faster. I need to put some fuel in this tractor. That's something I need to do. And then we've got a couple little patches of grass right there in the middle that we've left. Not yet. I'm not going to do those. I'm just flat out refusing to do those. I'm not going to do them. We're going to resist the siren call of the little patches, and we're not going to go around and do them, because then I got to go over them with the hay turner as well, and then there's more work involved, and so on and so forth, and we don't want to do it. We don't want to get involved. So we want to do a few times around here. I reckon 3 times should be enough to do twice with the helper eye has completed their task. They have just now finished doing the not the hay, I was going to say the hay turning. They've just now finished doing all the mowing. So yeah, see, we can go a lot faster with this one. So they've just finished doing the mowing. That is actually all done now. We're going to do this, and then we can get the hired help going with a rake up and down this field, and we can get it all raked properly. I'm doing much the same as I normally do, going around the edges of the big stone, out into the middle of the field on these bits, and then not quite out so far on the edges over here, because it can just go on past it anyway without any problem. So then I can come up there like that, bring that bit out, and that's looking pretty good there, I'd say. I don't think we need to worry about that anymore. And then we can run you down over here. So to start with, we will do once all the way around the outside edge of the field from here, from this point right here. So I will start that one, and I will go all the way round the very outside edge going from here. Now, I've got the other tractor over there, is currently parked up with the mowers on it, but it's not doing anything. We will get back to that one in a minute, and we will move it. I'm probably just going to shunt it out of the way for a second, so that we can do our 3 passes around the outside edge of the field with this one. And then when we've done that, after I've done the passes around, I need to go and get the rake and do twice around the edge of the field with the rake on this one. Because if I don't do that, when the rake lowers down at the end of the rows, it kicks it back so far that it kicks it right out of the edge of the field, and then we're not actually able to grab it up and use it. And looking at that, I don't think I do need to worry about moving out of the way of it. I think we're actually going to be just fine. I don't think that one's going to be an issue. We can leave that one exactly where he is and not have to worry about it. The 3 passes with this one, and it'll be far enough back, it'll be out of the way, we don't need to concern ourselves. So I've only got to do 3 passes on the top bit. The bottom half of the field that we've already had the hay turner go over, we don't need to do anything. It's just once. There should only be one width over all of the bits down there that we need to concern ourselves with. And then, of course, we've got all of this here, this like extra bit that we went and cut. That's going to take up a bit of space, but the hay turner wouldn't have been able to get all the way out and reach this anyway. It probably would have struggled a little bit with the fact that we've got the fence here, so there's like the collision. I mean, it's a good thing that we've got the fence. It's a very, very good thing that we've got the fence, because otherwise it would try and end up down in the bottom of the canyon there, and we don't really want that. It would be a really, really good idea if it didn't end up in the bottom of the canyon. So here it's already gone. It actually went all the way out and reached that bit. And then up here, now that bit there is slightly unusual, so I'm just going to reverse up and get that. You shouldn't pick up and reverse unless you're actually going to go over the bit that you've just driven over. You should always leave your hay turner on the ground and turning. You shouldn't drive over any grass without turning it, because it squashes it down into the grass, and then it doesn't allow the wind to get underneath it and doesn't allow it to dry properly. So if you're moving around in the field, the hay turner should be going. You have the hay turner going right up to the gateway, as much as right up to the very edge of the gateway, so that you're driving on as little of the crop as possible without anything being turned immediately afterwards. If you haven't got anything being turned, you shouldn't be driving on it. That's kind of like the standard rule. That's the best rule to follow, is if it's not being turned, don't drive on it. Because if you do drive on it, all that ends up happening, like I said, is it gets squashed, and then the wind can't get under it, and it cannot be properly dried, and then you end up with a few patches in there of much greener crop, which is it's never quite as good. You're never going to get quite as good quality. And if it's too green, if you've got too much moisture in there, then there is the danger that the hay later on could overheat. It ferments. Instead of just drying out and turning into silage, it starts to ferment a little bit, and it will spontaneously combust. And this is how a lot of farms, a lot of fires will start on farms, in barns and that. They're not deliberately lit. They're not lit by arsonists or anything like that. It's because you've got too much green inside a bale, and it heats up, and that heat actually causes it to burst into flames. It gets that hot, it does actually burst into flames. My grandparents, remember several years ago, they had just in the middle of winter, they were taking their hay out of the stack, and one of the bales that they opened up had this big black hole in the middle of it. It was all ash. It had gotten so hot that it had charred the inside of the bale. It had actually charred it, and it was hollow. The inside was hollow, and there was ash in there. It had actually gotten that hot. Luckily, it hadn't been quite enough, or it had been far enough inside the stack that it hadn't been able to get enough oxygen to be able to burn. If that had been closer to the edge of the stack, and it had been able to pull oxygen in, then that would have burst into flames, and it would have burned the entire stack down. So you've got to be careful of these things. You do have to be aware. However, hay is not left, the grass is not left out in the field and dried out 100%. You don't desiccate the grass, and not all of the moisture is removed from it. You do actually bale it up while it's still slightly green, and it finishes making into hay after it's been baled up and been put into a stack. So you've got a fine line. If it's too green when you bale it up, then it ends up catching fire and burning your house down. If you leave it in the field too long and you completely desiccate it, the quality of the hay is not as good. You can have problems with it. I don't know exactly the full issues with it being over dry, but I do know that for the best quality hay, you always bale it so it's still got some green in it. It's still got some sap in there, some moisture in there. But unfortunately, I've never actually looked into it. I've never actually read up, so I don't actually know why that makes a slightly better quality hay than if you dry it out completely. If it's got to the point where you can bale it, you bale it up, and then it finishes making into hay while it's in the stack. And I'm not actually sure why that's the case. Why is that better quality hay than if you leave it on the ground in the sunshine for another 24 hours and really, really dry it out? So if anybody knows, if any of you experienced people here, or someone who's just got Google handy, can you explain that one to me? Because I've just sort of realised this is a whole area of farming and making hay that I'm completely ignorant about. Oh, and yeah, I shouldn't. If I'm going to turn, keep the turner on the ground and just turn a loop in the field. And then we can turn back and we can go this way. And even down here, although I'm going to have to do a little bit extra down on this corner. so that I can make sure that I've gotten everything that's outside of the field. Like the marked boundary of our field, which is this bit over here. So I'm just need to like take in this tail end bit here a little bit, I think. I do that, going round in circles. Yeah, so why does it make slightly better quality hay if you bale it while it's still partially green? Now, we've got Helper F has got a full grain tank. I haven't missed that. I did see it come up. It came up before. It's already come up. It's just that's the second time it's given us a warning just to let us know that, oi, you really don't seem to be paying attention to anything you're doing here at the moment, Sunshine. Do you think you could, like, switch the lights on a little bit? Because you got a lot of work here still to do. I'll tell you what. Let's hop down to that combine a second. And we will do what I said that I was going to do originally, which is I'll bring you out round that way, and we'll run it up manually, and we'll drop it into the combine. And I don't need to go back to that edge over there and start it again. I can just start it from this corner up here. That should work okay. So if I bring you up round there like that, we can unload that one into the trailer right there. I've done this before. I have actually done this when combining. If you're combining canola or OSR, very often the people doing the grain carting, they don't run alongside you to take the stuff out. They just come along and dump a trailer on the side of the field, and then you run to the trailer and you empty out because it's much fewer trips. Also did that when combining peas as well. Combining peas was my favourite job. I loved doing it. With the combine work that I did, the peas was definitely my favourite job. It was probably the biggest challenge for combining. It was almost definitely, certainly the biggest challenge for combine work, because you had to run with the header so low to the ground. You literally had to have it an inch to half an inch above the surface of the ground. So you're looking at maybe a centimetre and a half above the ground, right? No more than that, because of how tight the peas were laid down. They would be laid flat on the ground, so you had to just go along with your combine header and just skim them into the front of the combine. So it was quite a difficult job. You really had to focus and concentrate and be constantly aware of stones and things like that coming along. And auto contour on the front of the combine, you couldn't use that. You had to do it all manually. Auto contour wouldn't work that tight down to the ground, and it made it quite interesting. It was a very interesting job doing it. It took me, I think I was on that job for 5 days. I think it was 5 days we were doing the peas, and it was really good. I really did enjoy the challenge of it. Only time I've ever done it, and I'll probably never get the chance to do that again. But at least, you know, I've got the memory of having done it the once, and that's good enough for me. I know that I've done it, and it was quite an interesting experience getting to do that particular job. There's other jobs I've done that are kind of similar, just not quite the same, you know, little tiny bit different. And well, it's like with any job. There's always like little aspects of any job you have. It doesn't matter what job you've got. There's always going to be bits of a job that you really don't like, that you really don't enjoy, that you find horrendously tedious, and you don't like at all. It doesn't matter what the job is. And then there's always going to be little aspects of a job, and you'll do it, and you'll be like, I really love my job right now. There's just like little bits here and there, and it doesn't matter what job you're doing, there's always going to be bits that you really, even if you've got a job that you despise, there's going to be every now and then just little bits of the job that at least you don't despise as much as the rest. It may even bring you a small measure of happiness to be able to do it. But yeah, I do get where you're coming from, those of you who are saying, well, I absolutely despise my job, there's definitely nothing about it that I love doing. I get where you're coming from with that. Trust me, I really do get where you're coming from with that. But is there really no aspect of the job that you like at all? I've found, even with jobs that I really genuinely hate, and just sort of the sort of jobs that make you lose the will to live, there is still tiny bits of them that make it just bearable. And if you can focus on those tiny bits rather than on the rest of it, at least it is a bearable experience rather than a completely sort of brain killer experience. And I've always found at least little bits of a job, and then, you know, jobs that but conversely, jobs that I really love, jobs that I've been absolutely passionate about and I have loved every single little aspect of them, there's still been bits of the job that I've hated. And it doesn't matter what job. I've never ever had a job that I have loved every single aspect of without fail. There's always been jobs that, there's always been some part of it that I really, really don't like. Take my job right now, like with loads of different farming jobs I've had, there's always been bits of farming jobs that I haven't liked. My job that I've got right now, I'm a YouTuber. I make YouTube videos for a living, and for a lot of people that is the ultimate dream. And I appreciate that. I know that. I'm aware of just how lucky I am to be able to do this job in the eyes of so many people. There are literally millions of people around the world who think that I am living the dream. I don't like editing. I don't like editing videos. It is dull. It is tedious. You probably mostly figured that out from the way I have my videos on the channel. Minimal editing on all of my videos. I prefer to do more recording and less editing. I very much head towards sort of live streaming style of videos where but it's not quite live streaming. I'm cutting out the small clips and that I don't think need to be in there. But for the most part, I include absolutely everything. I definitely don't go through and do lots of editing where you take 2 hours of gameplay and you put it into a 20-25 minute video it's more highlights of gameplay rather than all gameplay. I go the other direction. I go with as much gameplay as possible, and the reason I do that is because it takes a lot less editing, and that's it. It is purely down to the fact that I really, really hate doing editing. I don't like it at all. It is not something that I get on with at all. It is tedious, it's dull, and I've really, really got to push myself to do my editing every week. And I got to do it. If I don't do the editing, I don't produce the videos. So yes, this bit now, where I'm driving along and I'm raking up the hay right here, and then a bit later today, I'm actually going to go and play some Factorio for a few hours. All of that, I love that. That's fantastic. I get to play all the games that I want for as much as I want, and it is brilliant. But the price I must pay for that is that I also have to go and edit the footage afterwards. And that is, for me personally, that's the price I have to pay. Now, it's not the same for everybody. I know some people who love editing. Like, they really, really enjoy editing. And you can see that with their videos, like the producing the content, the doing the gaming or whatever it is that they're doing. That's kind of the afterthought. The bit where they really like to shine, the bit that they really enjoy is the editing part. That's where they really, really go for it. And you can sort of see, like, the ones that do it because they got to, and the ones that do it because they really, really love it. And then you got the ones that sort of like all of it all the way through. I mean, I do think that people who enjoy doing the editing are quite lucky when it comes to doing this kind of job, because it's still quite a big part of the job. Don't get me wrong, it is a big aspect of my job is editing, and so the fact that I don't particularly like doing it is just a bit unfortunate for me. But I have found all sorts of tricks and ways to get around a lot of it, including my style of videos. And my style of videos is largely influenced, it's not completely, but I've no shame in admitting that the style that I have my videos is hugely influenced by the fact that I don't like editing. So I've figured out a way of doing my videos so that I don't have to do excessive amounts of editing for every single video that I put out. I would rather spend longer recording and to do more videos and have less views per video than spend longer editing and put out less videos but get more views per video. Like, okay, I'm a little bit all over the place, like I've been drinking here on the job. That's not acceptable. So yeah, that's the style that I like to have. And I've looked at all sorts of different channels. I was thinking to start with, I used to think I was really letting myself down and letting everybody else down because I didn't like to do the editing, and I was trying to push myself to do more and make it more complex, and look different, and I found several different channels that kind of use the same approach that I do, and you can clearly see that they don't like editing. They like doing the gaming bit, but they don't like doing the editing bit at all. And it's sort of like a light switch. It was literally just a light switch for me. It was, well, why can't I do that? That's absolutely perfect. I can do the bit that I love doing, and I can, you know, sort of leave out the bit that I really, really don't like doing at all. And so that's what I do now. That is how I work it. Now, obviously, my style of video is not for everybody. There is a great deal of people that will watch a bit of my stuff, but it's really not for them. That's fine. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Nobody is ever going to like. You're never going to have a YouTube channel where everybody likes everything. Mine is a little bit more niche content, and yeah, okay, that's fine. I'm making the videos how I like to make them. I'm doing what I like to do. I'm doing what I love to do, and some people come along and they actually enjoy the way that I do it, and that's kind of the main thing with it is if you can find something like that, that's absolutely brilliant. So what I've managed to do is I've got a job that I genuinely love, and then I found the bit of the job. There's always going to be the bit I found the bit that I really, really didn't like, which is the editing bit, and I was really, really fortunate and lucky in that I was able to find a way of doing things so that I can minimize the amount of the bit that I didn't like doing. As I was able to minimize it. I haven't eliminated all editing. I spend hours and hours and hours every week editing, but I spend a lot less time editing compared to what I could be doing. And I am very, very much aware of that, and yeah, I'm constantly aware of the fact that yeah, I really don't have to spend anywhere near as long editing for the amount of videos that I push out for compared to some other YouTubers. And personally, for me, that's absolutely great. That is a win as far as I'm concerned, because of how much I dislike doing all of that editing. It's something about it. I don't know what it is. I usually end up finding it frustrating more than anything else. Like, as soon as things start to go a little bit wrong with the editing, I didn't make that quite narrow enough in there. As soon as things start to go a little bit wrong, I end up getting really frustrated, and then I'm second guessing myself, and I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking I'm getting this all wrong, and I start to, you know, you look at it, you think, I'm doing this wrong, this shouldn't be like this, I'm basically, I'm just failing this completely. This is, how could I even consider myself as a YouTuber? I'm absolutely appalling at this. I don't deserve to be able to do this job at all. This is basically what goes on in my own head whenever I'm doing editing for more than, you know, a few hours. Like any more difficult tasks that come up. When it comes to games going wrong and recordings going wrong and things like that, very much able to take that in my stride. It's just sort of part of the whole thing, and that's just how it is. But for some reason, when it comes to the editing part, I just have this habit of beating myself up really, really badly over it, and that's just how it is. I mean, I know it's not true. I know I'm not a complete failure as a YouTuber because I find it difficult to do the editing, but that's just how the mind works. And there's a lot of people that will a lot of you will probably understand exactly what I'm talking about. I have completely run out of time here. We're going to have to finish doing this next week. We've got these 2 rounds to do around the outside edge of the field, and then we will get the baler on, and we will bale these up, and then we will run around the outside edge and grab the bales, although we may not need to go and grab them if we're careful. We might be able to shunt them all out of the way, so that we don't need to worry about going and picking them all up. We can just, like, dump them up in the corners and things like that, and then we can have one hired help with the rake going after we've done the baling and we've got the bales out of the way. We can have one hired help going with the rake, and we can have one hired help going with the hay turner, and then we can do the baling, and we'll then, that should be all of the hay that we need to be able to finish this series. I don't think we're going to need to do hay again. And so then after that, the next thing that we're going to want to do is probably a crop of silage. So we still need to do the mowing and the turning to be able to do a crop of silage, but we skip out the step of doing the mowing and the raking, sorry, for the crop of silage. We miss out the step of having to do the turning over there. So it should make the job a teensy-tiny little bit faster. But anyway, I really have run out of time, so if you've enjoyed this episode, then please head... Wait a minute. I'm sure there was something else I was going to say. I looked over there and I thought, no, there was something else I was supposed to say. No, there isn't. I don't think so. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this episode, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.